Hi guys, I'm back again with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP, who publicly shamed her husband's ex-wife because she ruined her wedding. Listen to the story to find out how the wedding was ruined, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My husband and I recently got married. He has 2 children from a previous relationship, who are 3 and 4. I love these kids as my own, and we planned the wedding to make sure they could not only attend, but be the flower girl and the ring bearer. We didn't tell their mother the exact date of the wedding, but she apparently found out anyway. Due to our timing and how their custody split works, we had to pick them up in the morning the day of. Surprise, surprise, her and the kids were nowhere to be found. She took them on a mini vacation without telling anyone. This was in contempt, and of course my husband was in a panic trying to figure out where they were. The mother had turned off her phone and left it in the house, so there was no contact. She ended up destroying our wedding. The entire day was spent feverishly trying to get in contact with her and find the kids. We got married in between various family members leaving to go around town to various places they might be. My husband has a tense, nervous look in all of the pictures, and nobody is smiling. All any of my new husband's family, and even my own, talked about was her. I was so worried that my makeup had to be redone twice from stress crying. Half of my mother-in-law's speech was pleading with mutual friends to tell us anything you know. My husband was in contact with the police during the reception, filing a missing persons report that ultimately went nowhere. We had no wedding festivities, tense father-daughter dance, but nothing else. I'm sure she got a huge kick out of it. The kids were too young to remember anything long-term or have huge emotional commitments, so they don't care. She even took them to fun places, so all they have is good memories of the day. There's no legal consequences at all for this either, as they have a weird agreement for contempt of the custody order. The first offense of contempt is just a small monetary fine, which she already paid. She budgeted to do this. This sounds petty, but I made a Facebook post calling out what she did and what kind of person she is. I got a lot of people shaming me for not co-parenting. Even my friends are saying that I'm just stooping to her level. My husband asked me to take it down because it looks bad on us. Am I not allowed a little revenge? Well, in my opinion, OP stooped to her level, and she won. Rather than people remembering she maliciously ruined OP's wedding day because she basically kidnapped OP's husband's children, they will remember how OP had a hissy fit on Facebook to get under her skin. Now all she has to do is play that she misunderstood the plans, and she is the victim. And OP is the wicked stepmother. Don't you think so, guys? And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Absit no men says, not the a-hole, but I say take the post down. She clearly gets juice out of taking away your happiness and energy. Don't give her that satisfaction. Document her BS petty move. Don't mention it or issue any threats. And then, should there be any adjustments to custody arrangements, trot her actions out, including documents of you and your family's calls to police, the bills for caterers and child-oriented wedding entertainment, etc. If you're gonna serve up revenge, serve it cold. Try to eat says, everyone sucks here. If you had just told her the date in the first place, she wouldn't have been able to conveniently plan this day for them. I'm sorry about your wedding, truly. Her behavior sucks. But to be honest, it sounds like you guys could all stand to grow up. You have a long, long time until those kids are grown. Don't let it all be full of stress and nasty games. Christina0001 says, everyone sucks here. Your friends and husband are correct. Posting things like that on social media makes you look like an a-hole. Don't air your dirty laundry out on social media, especially when kids are involved. The kid's mom is an a-hole for obvious reasons. I, 32 female, have been married to my husband, 34 male, for 7 years and together for 10. He and his ex, 35 female, have 2 children together, 14 female and 11 male. My husband and I have 3 children together, 6 male, 4 female, and 3 female. My husband's ex has 4 other children, and she's a single mom. My stepkids are the only kids of his ex who have a father involved. I provide that information because my husband's ex has been struggling the last 2 years, after the birth of her youngest. Because of this, my husband started providing more for my stepchildren, which is what the kids deserved. But now she has asked for increased child support, and for us, me, to take her other 4 children sometimes, to help her out, and I have a problem with that. This woman has been less than kind to me since day one. She engaged in parental alienation, which we still feel the effects of, even though it has gotten better in the last 4 years. since a judge threatened to change the parenting time if she didn't cut it out. The kids are still distant with me and favor their other siblings. But we're still in a better place than we were. I still don't like their mom. She tried to get me arrested because I picked my stepkids up from school on my husband's parenting time. Actually called the police, and I was forced to provide the court order and proof it was my husband's parenting time. All the while, she encouraged the kids to stay in the car. She has also allowed and encouraged her younger kids to pick on mine. We had an issue with my older two and two of her kids. I had to get my son moved to a different class and sent my middle to a different daycare. I know my husband feels we need to help her because she's the mother of his kids, and I respect if he wants to give some of his time. But he will not offer mine, and I've told him this. I also don't want him taking from our family and putting us in financial hardship, which what they are talking about would do. I also told him to think of what it would be like for our kids being around kids who have been taught how to be unkind to them. I also fear it will hurt them to see their older siblings love on the others and not them, which has happened before. Am I the a-hole here? OP's husband's ex is toxic, and OP has to make that clear to her husband. Her poor life choices are not his nor OP's responsibility. I actually feel bad for OP's stepkids because they are being brought up in such a toxic environment. OP's husband is also responsible for his kids that he had with her. She is responsible for the rest of her kids. The fact that she wants to increase child support because of kids that aren't OP's husbands baffles me. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Sooner Girl says, not the a-hole. The fact that his ex hasn't figured out birth control is not your issue to deal with. If her kids treated you and your kids with respect, it might be different in regards to allowing them all to come to your home. Rayleigh D says, not the a-hole. You need to have a serious conversation with your husband and iron out all the details. This has the potential to be messy, and you want to make sure that you and your husband can be on the same page. Emotionally says, not the a-hole. Sue the ex for custody of the biological kids and put the ex on child support. Your husband may feel guilty, but remind him how little the stepchildren will get when you divorce them and put them on child support. Next time the stepchildren are over, make it crystal clear that their behavior is unacceptable and they will not be allowed in your home if it continues. Make it clear that you are the authority in your home. So, I've been with my partner Adam for 5 years. He has 3 kids, Marco, 16 male, Ash, 15 non-binary, and Finn, 13 male. I knew of his kids since before we started dating, but I didn't meet them until about 7 months into dating and was introduced as their dad's boyfriend after 1 year. After about another year, I moved in with them, and about 3 months ago we moved into our current house. We are a close family, but the 3-bedroom house we lived in before just wasn't big enough. I'm also a professional interior designer. The kids went to stay with their mother for a few weeks, so I decided to start on their rooms. So while we were doing the rest of the house, they had their own spaces. In our new house, each kid gets their own room. Each room was customized to each kid's likes, and they had also each made a mood board for their dream rooms before. This, along with IKEA dates, had become our thing, so I knew about their design preferences. So I did their rooms. Marco's room was alternate with a Gothic focus. We created the spiderweb window from Wednesday and a wall covered in posters and magazine clippings from a bunch of bands he likes that I sourced. Ash's room was very different. They also had a big window to allow sunlight for their plants. They had an entire wall that was a floor-to-ceiling bookcase with a library ladder. The bed was a reading nook in the upper corner of the bookshelf wall. Finn's was a fantasy and gaming-themed room, themed around Genshin Impact. The design was subtle. This included an accent wall, which was a mural of some of the landscape from the game, as well as some other hidden details. Each room had a secret room in it as well, as that was something all of the kids wanted. Marco had a rotating platform like from classic Scooby-Doo shows. Ash, of course, had a hidden door in the bookshelf. And since Finn had the smaller room, we sectioned off part of the attic, converted it, and added a hatch into his room. We still tried to make it cool by having a button that caused a rope to be dropped down for him to climb. When the kids got back today, to say they were ecstatic would be an understatement. They loved their rooms and exploring all the little details. We did go shopping for some extra bits they wanted. There were a few ideas I had that I waited for their opinions, and it was all fun, or so I thought. I just got a call from their mother, and as soon as I answered, she started yelling at me, saying that I was doing this specifically to target her and the kids, so that they wouldn't want to stay with her, and that I was alienating them. I barely got a word in before she said that she will be talking to her lawyer about this and hanging up on me. In the moment, I only wanted to do something special for the kids. But now I'm not sure if I've messed up, and it's making my anxiety go crazy. I've kind of just locked myself in our room, because I know my partner would notice immediately that I'm not okay, and I don't want to burden him. So am I the a-hole? OP is definitely not in the wrong here. I'd love to hear the conversation she has with her lawyer. OP decorated my children's bedrooms exactly how they wanted. The horror. Maleficent 40 says, not the a-hole. I'm pretty sure decorating a kid's bedroom in the home of the parent with custodial rights isn't a violation of anything, and honestly, I'm a little jealous of the library ladder. Notabot 1305 says, not the a-hole. You are being nice and showing her kids, and yours now, that you love them and care about them. The mother clearly has insecurities about losing her kids. Dogs Reading Books says, not the a-hole. You did nothing wrong. Keep doing what you're doing. I, 27 female, am getting married in March. No invites have gone out yet, nor has a seating plan been arranged. But my sister, 39 female, has already pulled me aside and asked me to use my wedding to help her out. So she and James were together from childhood, and they had my nephew Sean and niece Leah together. Sean is 21 and Leah is 19. James died when they were 7 and 5, and my sister met her husband 2-ish years ago. They got married after 3 years of dating. My sister's husband had 2 daughters and a son with his ex-wife. They lived primarily with him, and I think they believed the circumstances would make for a Brady Bunch reality. Only it didn't work like that. The kids didn't blend, and despite my sister and her husband attempting to forge bonds with the individual stepkids, nothing stuck. The kids resented the hell out of the attempts. His oldest essentially cut them all off for it when she turned 18, and she hasn't been seen since, about 6 years. The other 4 between them still speak to their parent and step-parent, but there is not anything between step-siblings really. My sister wants me to invite all 5 of them, and to make sure the 7 of them get seated at the same table with nobody else, so they will be forced to interact and break the ice. She even suggested I don't give them a +1, so it puts more pressure on them. I told her no. I told her I don't want a fight breaking out at my wedding, but also I don't want to deceive them that way, because she will do everything to keep it from the kids. And I'm close to Leah and Sean. I'm their aunt, but I'm pretty close to their age, so we were always tight. My sister told me I should be doing everything to help her. Then she slung insults my way, and now she's texting me all the time saying I need to be reasonable. Am I the a-hole? Eloel says, not the a-hole. Your wedding is not a social experiment where you stick together incompatible people and observe what happens. There for the comment says, oh geez. Apparently, she hasn't learned a single thing from her failed attempts at family bonding. Not the a-hole. Brilliant Youth 3688 says, not the a-hole, but if you are having tables of 8, you could invite a family therapist to discuss their issue. Seriously, not the a-hole. It's your wedding, and I think she's wrong to ask you. I'm 17 female, and I have an older brother who is 19. My dad was never a very good dad. He and my mom separated when I was young, but never divorced. Not sure why. He was crappy as a dad before the separation, crappy after the separation, and crappy when my mom died 3 years ago. By crappy, I mean he wasn't there, didn't spend time with us, didn't show up for anything, didn't take care of us when we were sick, never knew anything about us, etc. While living in the same house, there were times I didn't see him in 2, 3, or even 4 months at all. About 2 years ago, he met Sally, married her after 6 months, and she had her 3 kids under 10 moved into the house. Dad is so much more involved with Sally's kids than he ever was with me or my brother. My brother stopped talking to him after he saw how Dad was with Sally's kids. I pulled way back too. I do my own thing, and don't care to interact with Dad or Sally's kids. Sally's kids think I'm the coolest person ever, and they try very hard to hang out with me. Sally has tried to push her kids on me so many times. She told me I should embrace being a big sister now, and embrace having a bigger family. I told her this isn't my family. This is just where I stay until I can move out and be with my family, my brother. Sally must have told Dad because he spoke to me after I said that to her. Then he spoke to me again and again and again. Then, after a few months of me just ignoring his attempts to talk, he asked why I was being such a brat and why I wasn't getting to know my family. I told him this was no family of mine. He was no dad to me or my brother. I told him he was a crappy ducking dad, and did he really think we'd be happy he was being a better dad to kids not his own? He said they are his kids, and they're my siblings now, and I should embrace that. That pissed me off, and I told him as much. I also corrected his calling them my siblings, because we're not siblings, and none of them will be in my life in a few months. He told me I should be glad he's trying to be a better dad to them, and by being a better dad to them, it will make him a better dad to my brother and I too. I laughed, and called him pathetic, and reminded him yet again he was a crappy ducking dad. Sally and her kids heard everything. The kids were upset that I said we weren't siblings. They were upset I was mean to their dad. Sally thought I was being a spoiled little princess for judging my dad super harshly. She also thought I should be willing to give them a shot. Then they, Dad and Sally, got my grandparents involved, who decided to preach forgiveness and reconciliation to me. They implored me to make an effort to salvage things with Dad now that he has grown. They also said calling my father pathetic and laughing at him is wrong. I feel like I'm living in another reality, but gotta ask, am I the a-hole? Small Slam says, not the a-hole. Actually, went down very similar for me. The kicker was when my new stepbrother took me aside when we were adults and suggested that I treat my dad better because he was a great dad. Not sure if he was ready for my verbal barrage, but it sure felt great. He never brought it up again. Again, not the a-hole. Tyler SB1 says, not the a-hole. Dad, Sally, and grandparents are the a-holes, and naive for thinking you would just get over growing up with a crappy dad. Serious reconciliation in these situations takes major effort on the parents' part. It doesn't just happen. Kaylee the Blaze says, not the a-hole. Parent isn't just a noun, it's a verb. To parent someone is to show up, to teach and guide and comfort, to love and support. Parenting isn't fungible. Showing up as a parent for one kid doesn't get you credit with all your kids. If he wanted you to consider him to be a parent, maybe he should have been one. Providing the material necessities to keep you alive and nothing else isn't parenting. Disappearing for months at a time on children grieving the loss of their only actual parent is failing them.